Hey guys, welcome back to Real Talk, where we break down real world problems with zero sugarcoating, no filters, no retakes, and no cuts. And today we're talking about money. Not just boring stuff, not boring finance lectures. We're talking Chick-fil-A money, Target trips money, college on budget money. And with me today, I have a guest, Bhuvi, who's a freshman who isn't surprisingly broke because she's actually prepared for college. Bhuvi, welcome.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. And yeah, I'll say this. I was really intentional about planning ahead because I knew it would help me a lot when I got to college. My parents drilled budgeting into me before I got here, and honestly, it's the only reason I'm not stressed about money right now.
Okay, so basically, based on that, let's start here. How did you prepare for college before you even stepped foot on campus?
So, like I said, my parents were played a huge part in this. We sat down and looked at realistic monthly costs, everything from food to my books to even fun and emergencies, especially. We made a game plan with this. I also practiced a lot of budgeting in high school with my allowance and the part-time job I worked, so it wasn't a huge shock when I got here.
Honestly, I know week one is like really, really hectic. You have to move in. There's just so much going on, figuring out
Mhm.
like your meals plan, your dorm, everything. I almost slipped, me personally, I almost slipped into daily Starbucks and Uber Eats modes, and I would just spare and spend anywhere. So, what was your first, oh wow, like I actually need to start budgeting moment?
So, like you said, I that first week of college, I definitely took my freedom and ran with it. So we have a concept of dine-in dollars here, and I was definitely using it a lot more than I needed to. But then I realized that like every $10 today, it's just less fun money later. So with like my dine-in dollars and my own personal money, I remember that instead of going broke, instead of wanting to go broke, I found myself adjusting right away.
That's perfect. That's actually really, really, that's such a game plan. I feel like a lot of people will probably need more guidance because we all just come into college thinking it's all like fun and freedom, but then once we actually step into reality, it's like, oh, like you start looking at every little thing that costs money, and you
Mm-hmm.
know you're not gonna have that much of a support, like it's all on your own. So how is it different from being compared to being in high school?
So like you said, I have a little bit less support right now. In high school, I would honestly sometimes spend without thinking, whether it was on new shoes or a little boba run, random Amazon stuff too. But now in college, I track every dollar that I spend. I make sure that whatever I'm spending, I know how much I'm spending and where it's going. And it was a big mindset shift for me, but it's definitely helped.
So obviously the support system is your parents.
Mhm.
Let's talk about them for a second. How did they help you set up good money habits before college? So now you're like locked in and all prepared for college.
So I would say the biggest thing that helped me do was teach me how to split my money, how to save some, how to spend some, and how to set some aside for future emergencies. Also, they didn't bail me out when I made those dumb decisions back in high school, and that tough love actually has made me a lot more careful now.
Yeah, I understand completely because I feel like our parents, they try to support us as much as they can. And even in
Hmm.
college, they try their best, but they're
Of
not
course.
always gonna be there every step of the way. Like in high school right now, I don't even have to think, but I just ask, send a quick text, and they're like, yes, you can. In college, you have to look at everything because every penny counts. So
Hmm.
let's make this real. I know you're talking about budgeting and some tips, but what are actual budgeting apps that keep you on track currently right now?
So right now, especially, like I said, I track every single dollar I spend. I either write it down. I have an Excel spreadsheet where I used to budget when I had my part-time job, but now I use it to track how much I'm spending because I don't currently have a job. Also, I don't ignore the small costs. I don't think, oh, it's just $2. That $2 could be used in maybe a more useful place. So all those small costs, they definitely add up. And the one of the biggest important things also is to set a fun money budget. So I don't feel completely deprived, but I have a good balance of everything.
So coming in, so for come for high school seniors right now, do they have to? I besides all the planning on college apps, going into what college they want to get into, figure out their admission process, do they also start needing like to think about internships? Like, do they need it? Like, okay, I have my college, I have to figure out my dorm, but I also need to get a job. Is that like required? Do you recommend getting an or start looking or trying for internships already while also doing all these other college app things?
No, I completely get it. So the thing is, it really depends on how you work and how you know you'll be the most comfortable. So depending on your major or just depending on your own ability to multitask and handle things well, I would say if you feel prepared enough to take on, let's say, an internship or a job on top of your, school schedule, because school isn't just work, it's studying for tests, it's meeting people to study for tests. So knowing how to balance all that will definitely help you decide whether you want to get an internship or a job. I would definitely recommend it because, like I said, it can teach you those money spending and saving habits, but there's not a too late time or a too early time to start looking at that for sure.
Yeah, and then also it goes the other way around. I feel like when some people come into college already having like a really good financial structure and like, oh, I have like multiple internships, they start getting a little over their head. Have you seen that happen? Have you seen people just have an overconfidence with money and their financial situation, so they just go overboard?
I definitely have. I haven't personally interacted with them really, but I've seen it happen and I've seen the effects of what that can do to people. And it's not it's not even really about being careless. It's just like you said, being overconfident. They don't worry too much, like I said, about those small costs or like the things that can add up without you noticing. So I have definitely noticed that.
Yeah. So, considering all of that, what is one thing, if you could tell just one thing to high school seniors about money before college, what would it be?
you've they've definitely heard this everywhere, but
Mhm.
and we basically talked about it, but save your money. Even if you have a part-time job, if you don't have a part-time job, if you have an allowance, however you're earning or getting money, save it in the best way possible. Whether it's, creating a separate account or if it's cash, keeping that someplace else. You'll never know when you need it. Like I said, it could be a rainy day fund where you need it for an emergency, or it can even be fun money that you're like, hey, I have this money and I've been saving my money properly. So definitely that. Look into long-term things, whether, like I said, so saving your money, investing, it'll all help you in the long run because going from your senior year of high school, going into college, you're learning a lot more things. You're learning how to be an adult. And then while you're going through college, you learn new things about, your money every day. So the earlier on you start those healthy habits, the way easier it'll be for you later down the line.
I think that those are really, really good tips. I feel like a lot of people will relate and understand, and it'll probably help their process.
Mhm.
Last but not least, I do want to incorporate mental health in this because
Mhm.
obviously any kind of financial related thing it can be extremely, extremely stressful, especially for upcoming freshmen in college and high school seniors who already have a long list of things that they need to get done, and then they also have to, even after they feel the maybe relief of, okay, I got into my dream college, then there's
Mhm.
this huge other stress of, okay, I got into my dream college, what about the expense? Can I actually go
Mhm.
to this college? So how do we maintain our mental health throughout the process, because there's the applying process, then
Mhm.
rejection and exception process, and then after exception it's like, wait, I have to think about this, and this. How do I maintain my mental health and stance?
I would say don't put too much pressure on yourself because I know nowadays, especially as like technology is advancing, there's a bunch of advancements happening and people are trying to keep up with how fast the world is moving. But don't ever feel stuck. If you need to take a breath, sit down, take a step back, it's completely fine because you're on your own journey. You applied to these colleges, you got rejected from some, you got accepted to some, and that's okay. Take rejection, take your failures as a lesson, but don't be brought too down by them. So overall, I would say It's okay to take a step back sometimes, whether it be, I've been working really hard for the past couple months. I just need maybe like a week or like 2 weeks to have fun and to chill. Of course, do your stuff in a timely manner, but it's like work hard, play hard. So get your work done, do the stuff that's needed, but also it's so important to give yourself that time to just relax, sit back and enjoy like the fruits of your labor. Because so many seniors in this like stage of their life right now, they're just working tirelessly, submitting applications, figuring out housing, figuring out roommates. It's so much stuff to think about. So give yourself breaks. I would definitely say that.
I love that. Thank you so much. That's probably one of the most helpful tips I've gotten so far because I definitely, in top of that, I think one of the biggest things is still maintaining your mental health because as soon as your mental health drains, everything else is just like
Hmm.
gone out. So
For
I
sure.
definitely loved your tips and thank you so much. And a big takeaway is you don't have to be a broke freshman if you plan ahead, budget smart, and actually listen when your parents talk money.
Hmm.
So thank you guys so much for watching. If you want more, please like and share. And thank you so much for Bhuvi for sharing your amazing thoughts.
Of course, I enjoyed it so much. Thank you for having me.
Mhm.